Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Maxine. I have Avoidant Personality Disorder and ADHD, and that's what we talk about here. But today I actually want to talk about pathological demand avoidance, which, as far as I know, is not recognized by the DSM at this time, but it is a suggested subtype of autism, and you may or may not know, I also suspect myself to be autistic, but I don't talk about that much because an assessment is just not accessible to me right now, maybe ever. And although I suspect it, it's not confirmed, so I just kind of leave that out of this conversation and we just talk about avoidant personality disorder and ADHD. But I want to talk about PDA because there is actually a lot of research that suggests it's not autism specific. A 2020 study out of the Center for Forensic and Family Psychology at the University of Nottingham found that ADHD was actually a much more reliable predictor for PDA than autism was, which isn't that surprising because we know that a big population of those with autism also have ADHD. But all that's just to say that it's very possible to have PDA symptoms without having autism. To be honest, I do. I have like all the symptoms of pathological demand avoidance, and I think most of that is kind of directly related to the struggles that I have with ADHD. But what I wanted to talk about here is because I get a lot of messages, or not a lot, but I've gotten a couple of comments on my videos about avoidant personality disorder that are inquiring about PDA because of the avoidant part, right? That's like, that looks very similar on that like base level. And I do fit the profile for both. And so do I think that those two things are related? And I do and I don't. So I think that the PDA symptoms are a direct kind of reflection of my ADHD. And I think having ADHD as a child really impacted like with the rejection sensitivity dysphoria and all that. I think that really kind of solidified my development of avoidant personality disorder. But from everything that I've read, the research that I've done, and my own experiences, I feel like the avoidant behavior from avoidant personality disorder and the avoidant personality disorder, and the avoidant behavior from pathological demand avoidance are kind of two separate things, even though it looks the same from the outside and leads to this life of extreme avoidance in all areas. But did I talk about the symptoms? Let me run through the symptoms. The symptoms of PDA are as follows: resistance and avoidance of ordinary demands, using social strategies to avoid demands, obsessive behavior often focused on people, being superficially social but lacking understanding, impulsivity, and mood swings. So yes, I meet all of that criteria. I'm less impulsive as I age, but otherwise definitely meet all of those. So why do I think that the resistance and avoidance of ordinary demands is not necessarily overlapping with my social avoidance? Well, from the research that I've done, and also like my own personal experience, I think having both of these profiles is that from the pathological demand avoidance side of things, the motivation behind that is this need for control and this avoiding a threat to your autonomy. And so these demands are considered internal or external, implicit or explicit. So really anything that you feel or is implied that you should do, or even just like a disembodied pressure to do something. You're resistant and avoidant of that because of this like need to control your autonomy. And I feel like that aspect of my avoidance has really emerged as a direct side effect of this like neurodivergent burnout that I experienced kind of following the pandemic, or like into the pandemic, right? I burned out, the pandemic happened, and I was like done masking. Like I just couldn't do it anymore. And I isolated myself. And ever since then, it's like, I don't know how to describe how impossible it is to do something if I don't want to do it. Like I just cannot make myself do something. I feel like I would rather die. Like I will literally have a meltdown like a child. And it's like, it feels uncontrollable, this like need to decide the course of my day and everything like that. And so that I feel that in the pathological demand avoidance. My avoidant behavior that is rooted in this avoidant personality disorder is really has nothing to do with that. It's about this fear of humiliation, this fear of shame, these deep, deep, deep feelings of inadequacy. And I feel that very separate to the PDA. Sometimes they come together. Sometimes, like which this doesn't really happen anymore because we've had conversations about this. But in the past, when my partner would come to me and say, hey, so-and-so just asked if we would come over for a barbecue tonight in like 3 hours. That was like the perfect storm for me because it's the avoidant personality disorder avoidance of like this social event with people, and also this PDA avoidance of like this sudden change in plans when I had already planned in my head to be in my pajamas and do nothing and be safe and comfortable here at home the whole day. And that reaction was like anger and frustration at him for springing this plan on me. And my avoidant personality disorder would be panicking and full of fear and anxiety, and you know, the PDA, that's anxiety about losing control of the situation. And it was just like, that was like, the spontaneous social plans is like peak, it's like guaranteed meltdown situation. Like I cannot do that. But yeah, so there are definitely times where it overlaps and I feel like frustrated as well as afraid. But to me, they're just separate things. They're separate things that sometimes come together. And of course, anytime you have like multiple diagnoses, those things, I mean, nothing is that cut and dry. Nothing is that simple where it's like you can draw a line in the sand where one part of your personality ends and the other one begins. It's all kind of brewing together to like create who we are. But I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that because I've had some comments about it. I've been thinking about it a lot. I do think that I have pathological demand avoidance, whether or not I also have autism. You guys, I also meet the criteria for CPTSD. I also have PMDD. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, with major depressive disorder, like sometimes even borderline personality disorder seems like it makes sense. So the sort of mental health landscape is very confusing and you know, it's not very straightforward, and it might never be. But especially in the United States, where mental health access is very, very, very limited, we're kind of left to our own devices here to like figure all this stuff out. And that's really all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure out stuff with you guys. And yeah, I really want to hear your experience and your like opinion on this, because I've just kind of been, it's been rolling around up here. When I first learned about PDA, I was like, it was kind of like that aha moment like I had with Avoidant Personality Disorder when I first learned about that, and like every single symptom, that's Wednesday, by the way, and like every single symptom lined up perfectly. I feel that way about pathological demand avoidance too, but yeah, I don't really feel like one fully covers the other. Like they are very separate things to me. So what do you think? I think that having both, well, having pathological demand avoidance by itself really makes me feel like an adult baby. Like I just can't, like I just can't take care of myself. I can't just do what's expected of me. I can't meet anybody's expectations. I'm always trying to find ways to lower everybody's expectations of me. And it just really compounds this like humiliation that I feel about not being able to get my life together at 30 years old. So yeah, it's brutal out here, but aren't we all struggling? So anyway, let me know what you think. I feel like I said so many words in this video and I don't know if I said really anything at all, but until the next one, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your comments. I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.